Howdy guys, I hope y'all are doing well. I'm sorry it's been so long since my last video, but since it's getting close to Christmas, I decided we would do another study on the wise men. I did a study on this probably about two or 3 years ago, something like that. But I wanted to go through this again, and there is so much more that I wish I could put into one video and keep it below 30 minutes, but I just can't do it. But hopefully that this will be an interesting video. We can learn more about them and more importantly what their gifts were for, what they symbolize, and how they knew what to give Jesus. What was the appropriate gift to give the Son of God? So we're going to start and skip around a little bit for time here in Matthew 2. When Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, and they were called Magi. Okay? Saying, where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. 9 through 11. And when they had heard the King Herod, they departed, and lo, the star which they had saw in the east went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was. And when they saw the star, they rejoiced in exceeding great joy. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And they opened their treasures, and they presented him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So, first of all, they see the young child Jesus, most likely not the baby Jesus, like we depict all the time. Could have been, but most likely young child means this was a little bit after the birth, and maybe probably after when he had visited the temple, been circumcised and all that good stuff. So it was probably a little while after that the wise men show up. But they follow a star, and it says they came from the east. Now what is in the east? Where did they come from? Who are they? Why did they bring these gifts? How did they know to bring these gifts? So let's go to Daniel 1:17. We're going to skip around a little bit in Daniel, but this is just to give an idea of who these guys are, where they get their origin from. Daniel 17:21. Now this is after the Babylonian exile. Babylon had just conquered Judea, Jerusalem. And what does they do? He takes all the best people, like in government, into Babylon to serve him. This would be King Nebuchadnezzar. And one of these people is Daniel, and then you know the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They are with him. Verse 17, as for these 4 children, that would be Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, God gave them knowledge and skill and all learning and wisdom. And Daniel had an understanding in visions and dreams. Now at the end of the days that the king had said he should bring them in, that's Nebuchadnezzar, then the prince of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar. And the king communed with them. Among all that was found, none like Daniel, Hananiah, and Mishael, and Azariah. That would be Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore they stood before the king, and in all matters of wisdom and understanding the king inquired of them, and he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and astrologers that were all in his realm. And Daniel continued even unto the first year of King Cyrus. Now that is interesting, because King Cyrus is actually named in the prophecy written in Isaiah that was written hundreds of years in advance of King Cyrus ever living. And he is literally named. God named him. And so it is, I don't know if, I believe it is in one of the Jewish, I can't remember what it's called. It's not the Talmud, but it's in one of the Jewish apocryphal things where that when Cyrus conquered Babylon, he was actually met by Daniel and gave that very scroll that mentioned him. But anyways, to get back on track. So these people, Daniel was put in charge of all the astrologers, all these people in Babylon. Now what are they called? They were called astrologers, magi. That is one of the words used. Let's go to chapter 2, verse 23 to 24 and see what I mean here. Okay? I thank thee and praise thee, O God, of my fathers, who hast given me wisdom and might, and hast made known unto me now what we desired of thee. For thou hast now made known unto us the matter of the king. This is Daniel thanking God for helping him understand the king's dreams. Therefore Daniel went in unto Arioch, whom the king had ordained to destroy the wise men of Babylon. And he went and said thus unto him, do not destroy the wise men of Babylon. Bring me in before the king, and I will show the king the interpretation. So, Daniel was an extremely important man. He was over all the wise men of Babylon. And he is such an important character throughout his life, all the way unto King Cyrus's reign, that there is no doubt that he had a massive following within the upper epsilon of the Babylonian government, or the Babylonian Magi sect. There is no doubt he would have had a very big following of people, because he saved them right here. Now let's go to chapter 7. What would they have known? Because remember, the Jews didn't just come to Babylon and stay and then 70 years go back home. They would have brought their scriptures with them. They would have had all the Old Testament up to that point with them. What was some of the stuff they would have had to help these wise men in the east suddenly think and know that there's somebody coming out of Bethlehem? So there's a star we have to follow. Well, we'll stick with Daniel first, because Daniel's the one who writes one of the most important prophecies right here. It's Daniel 7. And I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they were brought near to him, and there was given unto him dominion, glory, and a kingdom, and all the people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, in his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. They knew through Daniel, their leader, that probably, that they held in such high esteem, and probably treasured his prophecies and the scriptures that he brought to them. And it's interesting also, this part of Daniel was not written in Hebrew, it's written in Aramaic. That's just an interesting, which is the lingua franca of the entire world at the time, even up unto the time of Jesus. Aramaic was the English language of the ancient world. So almost as if this prophecy was meant not just for the Jews, but for the entire world, implications would be made. So they knew that a human, divine king, because remember he's going to be given dominion and a kingdom, was coming. So what do you do for a king? So let's go to 1 Kings 10:14. Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 666 talents of gold. So Solomon was one of the greatest kings in all Israel, the most wealthy of all Israel. And what does he give? It talks about being given tribute as gold. You give gold to the king. But who does the gold genuinely belong to? Let's go to Haggai 2:8. Who does the gold genuinely belong to? I may not have put it. There we go. The silver is mine, and the gold is mine, saith the Lord of hosts. The glory of this latter house shall be greater than the former, which the Lord of hosts in this place will I give peace, saith the Lord of hosts. That's interesting, because that is also a prophecy about Jesus in there as well. Talked about that in other videos. But who does the gold truly belong to? The guy who will reign for a little while, or the one that reigns for eternity? The one who created the gold himself, God. So the perfect gift they bring is gold. Now, what about the frankincense? So they give Jesus frankincense. What is it used for? Let's go to Exodus 30, 34 through 36. And the Lord said unto Moses, take unto thee sweet spices, stacks and onycha and galbanum, these sweet spices with pure frankincense, and each shall be a like weight, and thou shalt make a perfume, a confection after the art of the apothecary, tempered together, pure and holy. And thou shalt beat some of it very small, and put it before the testimony in the tabernacle of the congregation, where I will meet with thee, and it shall be unto you most holy. So frankincense is used within the Holy of Holies, in the temple of God, where mankind God himself would meet with them. God's Spirit would come unto man and reside within the Holy of Holies in the temple. So what is the incense used for? Let's go to quick here in Leviticus 2:15. And thou shalt put oil upon it, and lay frankincense thereon. It is a meat offering. Now let's go to Nehemiah 13, 4 through 5. Nehemiah 13, 4 through 5. Okay, so did you notice what it was talking about there as an offering? Nehemiah 13, 4 through 5. And before this, Eliashib, the priest, having the oversight of the chamber of the house of our God, was allied with Tobiah, and he had prepared for him a great chamber, where before they had laid the meat offerings, the frankincense, and the vessels, and the tithes of the corn, and the new wine, and the oil, which was commanded to be given to the Levites, the singers, and the porters, and the offerings of the priests. So frankincense is a priestly incense used on the sacrifices made before God. It is supposed to be this pure, beautiful aroma presented before God as a sacrifice. Why is this so important? How would they know that that is the right gift to give this new coming king? Now let's go to Isaiah 52. Now everybody knows this part. Every Christian should know. Isaiah 52, 13 through 15. Remember how long did Daniel stay in power? All the way until King Cyrus. Isaiah would have been one of the scrolls he had while he was there. 13, probably read from numerous times. Behold, my servant shall deal prudently. He shall be exalted and extolled and be very high. And many were astonished at thee. His visage was so marred, more than any man, and his form more than the sons of men. So shall he sprinkle many nations. The kings shall shut their mouths at him. Before that which had not been told them shall they see, and that which they had not heard shall they consider. So this coming Messiah, this coming King, was going to sprinkle many nations, as in make an atonement unto all the nations of the world. He was going to do this priestly function. And what was the incense used in the Holy of Holies, the very place where God and man would come together, where there was not the barrier between God and man, the veil in the temple? It was beyond that the frankincense was placed. Now, this priestly king was to come and to be offering a sacrifice, to sprinkle the blood of the sacrifice upon the nation. So now, this priestly atonement was to take place. What would that priestly atonement bring about? What is the point of it? Jeremiah 31 through 34. Behold, the days will come, saith the Lord, I will make a new covenant. So the point of the sacrifice is fulfilling the old covenant. So this new guy, this new king that is to come, is to fulfill the old covenant and make a new one with the house of Israel and with the house of Jacob, not according to the covenant I have made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which a covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, saith the Lord. But this shall be the covenant that I make with the house of Israel. After those days, saith the Lord, I will put my law in their inward parts, and write it in their hearts, and will be their God, and they shall be my people. And thou shalt teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for they shall know me. For the least of them unto the greatest, saith the Lord, for I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. How can he forgive their iniquity? By the sacrifice that is made by that coming Messiah, that coming King that was foretold. Now, Jeremiah was one of the probably the most read books in the captivity that the wise men would have came from, that the Jews had, because Jeremiah was the one that prophesied within 80 years they would be allowed to come back into the promised land by, what did Isaiah say? King Cyrus. So Jeremiah was extremely important, and probably one of the ones, and actually I think that Daniel may have even alluded to him a time or two in his scriptures. Okay, so now why to bring the gift of myrrh? What is the gift of myrrh used for? We got to go back to Isaiah. It'll be 53, 5 through 11. But he, this is talking about Jesus, was wounded for our transgression. He was bruised for our iniquity. The chastisement of our peace was upon him. And with his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way, and the Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He was brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before the shears is dumb, so he opened not his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment, and who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off from the land of the living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken. And he made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was there any deceit in his mouth. He was killed for doing right. And yet it pleased God to bruise him. He hath put to him to grief, and then shall make his soul an offering for sin. Shall he see his seed, and he shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. He shall see of the travail of his soul, and shall be satisfied. By his knowledge shall my righteous servant justify many, for he shall bear their iniquity. So this high priest, that is the one that is in conjunction. He is a king, a high priest, and one that makes an atonement, and is one that can come before God himself within the Holy of Holies. He must die for us. And what is myrrh used for? Let's go to John 19, 38 through 40. And after this, Joseph of Arimathea, being a disciple of Jesus, brought secretly for fear of the Jews, besought Pilate that he might take away the body of Jesus. And Pilate gave him leave, and he came therefore and took the body of Jesus. And when there came also Nicodemus, which at the first came to Jesus that night, and brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes with 100-pound weight. And they took the body of Jesus, wound it in linen cloths and spices, as the manner of the Jews is to bury. So as Jesus was born in swaddling clothes and was presented myrrh, he died and was wrapped in swaddling clothes, linen, and was presented with myrrh. And I almost wonder if this was the same myrrh that was presented unto Mary. Now, it doesn't say if Mary was there. We know that Nicodemus, it says Nicodemus brought the mixture. It would make sense to me that Mary was there, and maybe he helped carry some of those things. And maybe that very gift, the last gift that the wise men had to offer our Savior, was the oil for his burial for us. So let's go to one last place. How did they know to follow the star? What scriptures did they have left over from when Daniel was there to tell them where to go? Numbers 24:17. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab, and destroy all the children of Seth. Edom shall be a possession, Seir shall be a possession for his enemies, and Israel shall do valiantly. Out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, and shall destroy him that remaineth in the city. Many people may think that that prophecy is also about the end times as well. The first and the second coming wrapped in one, where Jesus not only comes through the star, but also comes and destroys the one who remains in the city, which can be alluded to possibly the Antichrist in the end time. We don't know that for sure, but that would make sense to me. But so I hope that this was an interesting study. We see the whole deep meaning of the Magi's gift, how they would have known, where they probably came from, what they had to go by, and the things that led them. And notice something else. It was Gentiles who believed the scriptures and actually knew to come to visit Jesus. They came unto the king of the Jews, Herod. He had no clue what was going on. No priest showed up. Where was the Pharisees? Where was the Sanhedrin to come worship at the feet of Jesus? They weren't there. God asked and sent angels unto shepherds, the very lowest class of human people in the world at the time. They were nothing but wanderers, waiting for God to show mercy. And it was them and the Magi who waited on the Lord and came when they saw the signs given unto them. I hope this was a blessing. I hope y'all all have a very Merry Christmas if I don't make another video before then. But thank you guys so much. And may God bless each and every one of y'all. Take care.